let me start over. Mr. Kelly assumed, or he felt, that someone was listening to his conversations. Now with the judge saying that they can essentially meet every single day, do you think that will happen? And does it still run the risk of him not feeling comfortable being open and honest, and better yet, transparent with his legal team while still meeting in jail?
Well, just keep in mind, it wasn't Mr. Kelly that thought his meetings or calls were being recorded. I mean, I was on dozens of those calls, right? And I also met with him in person. I had no belief ever that they were being recorded. Okay, what happened was an investigator from suburban New York went to the jail. He had never been to the MCC Chicago in his whole life, and that was in like May, right? And he saw there was like kind of a box on the wall in the attorney meeting room, which in days of yesteryear, they used that to have cameras so that, you know, people could appear in court by video, and they don't use that anymore. There's no cameras in those boxes, right? But the investigator, who was unfamiliar with the facility, assumed that, oh, wow, you know, maybe they have the capacity to tape us, which they don't, and they would never do, because it would be incredibly stupid. It would be the quickest means to get a case dismissed in federal court that you can possibly imagine, and all the guards at the jail would get federally prosecuted. So there's no concern that he was being taped in Chicago, and obviously all four of the attorneys were involved in all those FaceTime calls. There was no taping going on, and it wasn't really Mr. Kelly that brought the concern forward. It was that investigator who was just unfamiliar with the workings of Chicago MCC. Likewise, now Mr. Kelly is in the MCC in New York, in Brooklyn. There's no possibility that they're going to try to tape his meetings with the lawyers. That will never happen. And again, if it did, the attorneys will probably welcome it because they'd get the case dismissed immediately. So there's no concern there. And the good thing is Mr. Comedic, the new trial lawyer, will have the chance, if he wants, to meet with Rkelly, you know, every day of the week, including Saturday or Sunday, 8 hours a day. But, you know, realistically, of course, he's not going to spend all his time doing that. When you're preparing for trial, you're going to be keenly focused on, you know, developing your cross-examinations and getting ready for trial in that respect. But it is good that the judge is entering an order requiring that facility in Brooklyn to give them essentially unfettered access to Mr. Kelly. But remember, the other two attorneys have had that kind of access for a year, but it's important for Mr. Comedic, who's really going to try the case, to have that access to get the relationship with Robert Kelly going, to understand Robert's insight into all these witnesses who are going to testify against him. So it's extremely important that Mr. Comedic have that time with Rkelly, and it'll be quite useful.
Attorney Leonard, yes or no? We know you're going to be removed from this case, but he has other cases as well. Will you be representing him in those cases?
That's something we're still talking